What is blockchain? And how do they work? Like the name indicates, a blockchain is a chain of blocks that contains information. This technique was originally described in 1991 by a group of researchers, and was originally intended to timestamp digital documents, so that it's not possible to backdate them or to tamper with them. However, it wasn't very popular until it was adapted by Satoshi Nakamoto in 2009, to create the digital cryptocurrency Bitcoin. So, a blockchain is a distributed ledger that is completely open to anyone. They have an interesting property: once some data has been recorded inside a blockchain, it becomes very difficult to change it. So how does that work? Let's take a closer look at a block. Each block contains some data, the hash of the block, and the hash of the previous block. The data that is stored inside a block depends on the type of blockchain. The Bitcoin blockchain, for example, stores the details about a transaction in here, such as the sender, receiver, and the value of transaction. A block also has a hash. A hash is like a digital fingerprint. It identifies a block and all of its contents, and it's always unique. Once a block is created, its hash is being calculated. Changing something inside the block will cause the hash to change. If the fingerprint of a block changes, it no longer is the same block. The third element inside each block is the hash of the previous block. This effectively creates a chain of blocks, and it's this technique that makes a blockchain so secure. Let's take an example. Here we have a chain of 3 blocks. As you can see, each block has a hash, and the hash of the previous block. So block number 3 points to block number 2, and number 2 points to number 1. Although, the first block is a bit special, it cannot point to previous blocks, because it's the first one. We call this the Genesis block. Now let's say that you tamper with the second block. This causes the hash of the block to change as well. In turn, that will make block 3, and all following blocks invalid, because they no longer store a valid hash of the previous block. So changing a single block will make all following blocks invalid. But using hashes is not enough to prevent tampering. That's why blockchains have something called proof of work. It's a mechanism that slows down the creation of new blocks. In Bitcoin's case, it takes roughly 10 minutes to calculate the required proof of work and add a new block to the chain. This mechanism makes it very hard to tamper with the blocks, because if you tamper with one block, you'll need to recalculate the proof of work for all the following blocks. So the security of a blockchain comes from its creative use of hashing and the proof of work mechanism. But there is one more way that blockchains secure themselves, and that's by being distributed. Instead of using a central entity to manage the chain, blockchains use a peer-to-peer network, and anyone is allowed to join. When someone joins the network, he gets a full copy of the blockchain. The node can use this to verify that everything is still in order. Each time a new block is created, if everything checks out, each node adds this block to their own blockchain. All the nodes in this network create consensus and agree upon which blocks are valid and which aren't.